Hello there, and welcome to another Q&A with myself. I'm Clément and I'm your host. And today we're going to answer the question, how do you make friends without being socially awkward? Now, I have a lot of experience with social awkwardness, all right? So all the way up from when I was like 18 years old until relatively recently, probably a few years ago, there were times in my life where I was absolutely terrified of being around other people. I felt very anxious and awkward and just like needed to get out of there and wanted the world to eat me up. And there's a good reason for that. Self-esteem, self-confidence, self-belief were really low. People are very important to have in our lives. We're a very social species. You know, we need to be able to have that connection. We need to be able to have a sandbox where we can freely communicate and express ourselves. That's what friends give us the opportunity to do, rather. And we also want to have people in our lives that are going to help guide us to make the right decisions. People that we trust, people that we respect, people that are going to give us tough love when we need it, right? So all of this is just really good fuel to recognize, yes, I need this in my life. Now, if you're listening to this still, then it means you're on track, you're motivated, and you're interested in order to get back control of your social life. So, low confidence, low self-belief, low self-esteem, how do we solve that problem? And there's a few different ways, but I think essentially it all boils down to this: recognizing your own worth. What are you good at? What are you interested in? What are your values? Are you a good person? Have you demonstrated in the past that you're capable? And the answer is yes. The answer is yes to all of those things, no matter who you are. There's things that you've done where you can be proud of those things. You have something of value to offer, which is what I'm trying to say here. So as long as you can recognize, point those things out to yourself, right? Be very clear. Remember, oh yeah, I overcame that. That was a difficult challenge. Yeah, but I did it. You know, it was actually not as hard as I thought. Oh, all right. So, and yeah, I created this piece of work, you know, in the past, and people loved it, and I was able to sell it, or it was a student project, or, you know, there's a few different things that you can look at and say, yeah, I did those things. I'm worthy, because you have to remind yourself, right? And I know that COVID has really torn apart our social lives, especially for me. I haven't seen, many of my friends. I've seen very few people over the last year. Most of the interaction, like 99% of the interaction that I've had in the last 12 months has been online. So I also feel like my social life and skills have really suffered during this last year. So I'm actually doing a lot of this work myself too. What about finding your passion? All right, now this is another way to start making friends quick. So you have to look at that first step in the beginning, finding the strength and the evidence to support that you have some self-worth. But the next step is like finding what it is that you're interested in. A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people really haven't had the opportunities or the experience to really truly know what they're passionate about. But there are things that you're interested in. There are hobbies that you have or interests that you have, science or pop culture or politics or business or, even like micro things like maybe it's like comic book movies or something. There's something that you're interested in that you can say, okay, that's a passion of mine. I'm very knowledgeable with that. I'm interested in it, and it's almost like a driving force for me. And once you know what your passion is, you can at least start to focus on groups of people that you can connect with. That it's going to be a lot easier to make friends with those people than it is for you to just walk out into the middle of the street and then, ask a passerby, if he wants to be a friend. So there are good ways to do this and bad ways to do this. Find out what your passion is, and that's going to be a really good starting point. Now, I want to give you a little exercise because obviously what I've said makes sense, but it isn't easy to actually execute, right? There's a lot of thought there's a lot of reflection, and there still is the challenge of actually making the first contact with someone. So I want to give you a little exercise here. What was it like? Do you remember, or can you remember, what it was like when you met your first friend? When you went to school for the first time and you were terrified, right? Let's think about this. When I went to school for the first time, I remember a feeling of dread. I remember feeling like I'd been abandoned. And I remember thinking that all the kids there were just a lot cooler than me. They were a lot smarter than me. They were better than me. And I was terrified. I'm not sure if everyone feels that way, but that's how I felt. And yeah, I was frozen, I think, for the first maybe few hours of the day. I just couldn't operate properly. I was so self-conscious. I wasn't thinking straight. I was on high alert. And, you know, we can be in that state now as adults also. And it's important to remember that after a while, you start to realize that the danger isn't really there. Whatever you have in your head as a fear is really amplified by your survival instincts. And once you calm down, you start to, well, open yourself up to the idea of perhaps communicating with the person inside of you. Or, you know, the school puts you into these activities together where you have to, I don't know, color in something in a coloring book or do these games together. And before you know it, you're already talking with someone you hadn't known before and communicating and starting to build rapport and learn about each other. And I think that that's a really good example of how we put ourselves in these situations because we want to connect. We want to have that friendship with others. And we want to be able to share, like I said before. But there's just always that element of like, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if they're going to like me or not. I don't know if I'm going to like them or not. But I'm going to give it a shot and we're going to see what happens. In the beginning, there's a little bit of awkwardness, or maybe there's a lot of awkwardness. It depends who you are and how confident you are. But there's always that because it's just normal. That's just a natural way of us protecting ourselves. But after a while, it goes away and then things become easier. We can become friends. We might not be friends, but at least we had an interaction and we figured it out. And so put yourself out there, but make it easier for yourself. Here's how you put yourself out there to repeat what you did at school, but in a lot more controlled environment. Now remember, we talked about your passion. Your passion's super important because that's going to help you meet like-minded people. Join a club. Just join a club, something that you're interested in. It could be online, it could be offline. There's meetup.com, there's Facebook, there's LinkedIn for professionals, and you can make friends on there too. You can make friends anywhere as long as you show up and you express yourself and you say something that people can connect with, or you ask questions. Asking questions is a really great way to start making friends because you're taking the pressure off you. You're literally asking someone else to share. And then when they share, you can also reply and you can leave a more informed answer, something that's a lot more easier, I think, than just kind of going out and saying something. There's also, let's say, online dating apps that also double as ways to make friends. On Bumble, there is a function for making friends. And I learned this the other day from someone that I met who told me that she's making friends using the BFF method on Bumble. I should have known that, right? That's a really cool way to start finding people who are in your area that you can literally meet up with. And then, you know, if you're like, so if you're into gaming or something, maybe you can join a clan on your favorite game. You know, if you play Call of Duty or something, you can jump in there and you can start communicating with people on the voice chat. Now, all of these things there's so many different ways to make friends, but I'm saying join a group of like-minded people who have like-minded interests and passions. And then before you know it, you're going to be talking about something that you both have, or you all have a lot of interest in and a lot of input about. So make it easier, release the pressure, make it easier for you to make friends. There's a lot of things to look at there. There's a lot of introspection, there's a lot of deep work, and it's going to take some time, but put yourself out little by little, and over time, you're going to start to find it easier to connect, find people, and make some friends. So I really hope that helped you. Take it slow. Don't set your expectations too high. You're not dating anybody, right? You're just kind of going out and trying to make connections. Make connections. That's really essentially what it is. Making connections. Make as many as you can. I hope this helped you. Thank you very much for tuning in, and I hope to see you on the next one. Let me know if you have any comments or questions, and I'll see you soon. Thank you.